Some films don't just scare audiences, they terrify the people who make them. And in 1976, The Omen quickly gained a reputation as a cursed production. It started before the cameras even rolled. Actor Gregory Peck's plane was struck by lightning on the way to filming. A few days later, the film's producer, Mace Neufeld, also had his plane hit by lightning. According to some reports, screenwriter David Seltzer's flight was struck as well. 3 lightning strikes, 3 separate planes, all connected to the same movie. Then came the animals. A zookeeper was mauled to death by lions shortly after working with the crew. On another day, a stuntman was attacked by Rottweilers, even though they were supposed to be trained for the film. The most chilling incident happened after production wrapped. Special effects designer John Richardson, the man responsible for the movie's infamous decapitation scene, was in a car accident in Holland. His passenger and assistant, Liz Moore, was killed, decapitated in a way horrifyingly similar to the scene Richardson had designed. Richardson later claimed that when he crawled from the wreck, he saw a road sign nearby. It pointed toward the Dutch town of Omen, 66.6 kilometers away. For some, it was coincidence. For others, proof that the Omen was haunted by the very evil it depicted. If history repeats itself, Robert Lincoln seemed doomed to witness it firsthand. He was the son of President Abraham Lincoln. Though not inside Ford's Theatre at the exact moment of the shooting, he rushed to his father's side and was present at his deathbed. Years later, as Secretary of War, he stood just steps away on a train platform when President James Garfield was gunned down in 1881. And in 1901, fate placed him once again at the scene. He arrived at the Pan American Exposition in Buffalo at the exact moment President William McKinley was shot. 3 different presidents, 3 assassinations. One man who, by sheer chance, kept finding himself in the shadows of tragedy. Realizing this horrific pattern, Robert Lincoln spent the rest of his life turning down invitations from future presidents, stating that he brought nothing but bad luck. Every so often, the moon passes directly in front of the sun, and day briefly turns to night. A total solar eclipse, one of the strangest natural spectacles we can witness. What makes it possible is a coincidence so precise it borders on the uncanny. The sun is about 400 times larger than the moon, but it also sits about 400 times farther away. The result? From Earth, their disks appear almost exactly the same size. By sheer chance, this alignment allows the moon to cover the sun perfectly. No more, no less. Astronomers call it a cosmic coincidence. Others see something far stranger in the maths of it all. Because in the vastness of space, with planets, stars, and orbits beyond counting, the odds of such a perfect overlap seem almost impossible. And yet, here we are, watching shadows fall across the Earth.
In fact, the American Astronomical Society calls our eclipses a cosmic coincidence.
Disk exactly covers the sun. And the chances of that occurring are so literally astronomically small. It's very disturbing.
In Germany, one date keeps returning at moments of upheaval, the 9th of November. So often has it shaped history that Germans themselves call it Schicksalstag, the Day of Fate. It began long before the World Wars. On the 9th of November, 1848, the left-wing revolutionary leader Robert Blum was marched into a forest and executed by firing squad. His death crushed Germany's first real democratic uprising, locking the nation under imperial rule for another 70 years. On the 9th of November 1918, Kaiser Wilhelm II abdicated, bringing an end to centuries of imperial rule and the proclamation of the German Republic. Just 5 years later, in 1923, Hitler's violent beer hall putsch collapsed on the same date, a humiliation that paradoxically gave him a national stage and set his ultimate path to power. 15 years later, November 9th, 1938, became infamous as Kristallnacht, the Night of Broken Glass, when Jewish homes, synagogues, and businesses were destroyed in a state-orchestrated pogrom. But not every 9th November carried darkness. In 1989, it was the day the Berlin Wall finally fell. Crowds surged through the checkpoints, East and West Berliners flooding into each other's streets to celebrate the end of a divided nation. These 5 eras are just the most famous examples, but many more historical events share this exact calendar day. One date, 5 eras, triumph and tragedy, bound together on Germany's day of fate. The First World War lasted more than 4 years and claimed millions of lives. Yet in one Belgian cemetery, 2 graves seem connected by fate. The first British soldier killed in the war was 17-year-old John Parr, who died near Mons in August 1914. The last was George Edwin Ellison, killed on the morning of November 11th, 1918. Less than an hour before the guns fell silent, both men were laid to rest at Symphorien Military Cemetery. Their graves were established years apart by different units, with no design or connection in mind. But when the cemetery was completed, something remarkable emerged. Their headstones ended up only a few yards apart, facing directly toward each other. The first and last British soldiers to die in the war, forever staring across the same patch of ground, by pure coincidence. July 4th, 1826. 50 years to the day since the Declaration of Independence was adopted, Americans filled the skies with fireworks. And on that exact same day, 2 of the men who signed it, John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, drew their final breaths. Once allies, then bitter rivals, the 2 founding fathers had only recently reconciled in old age. Yet no one could have foreseen their stories ending in such eerie unison. Jefferson died first at his home in Virginia. Adams followed just 5 hours later in Massachusetts. His last words were reportedly, "Thomas Jefferson still survives." But he was wrong. Jefferson had already gone. 2 founding fathers, 2 signers of the Declaration, departing the world on the very day their creation turned 50, by pure, impossible chance. The odds of being struck by a meteorite are estimated at 1 in 1.6 million. Most burn up in the atmosphere long before reaching the ground. But in 2011, one didn't. A small meteorite tore through the sky above France and came crashing down onto a house. No one was hurt. The only thing damaged was a roof. But here's the strange part. The family who owned that house were named Comette. A space rock hurtling through the void for millions of years finally makes landfall and lands on the Comette family. And those were just a few of the strangest coincidences ever recorded. Maybe they're nothing more than random events lining up in ways our minds struggle to comprehend. Or maybe they're reminders that reality can sometimes be stranger than anything we could invent, because every once in a while, the world creates a coincidence so unlikely, it feels almost impossible. If you enjoyed this journey through the strange and unexpected, there are many more stories waiting to be uncovered. Until then, keep looking closer, because sometimes the most unbelievable stories are the ones that actually happened.